Yeah, man. Here we are again, once again, back again on Chicky Bits. Good to be seeing you guys. Look, everybody. I went to the buying store recently and got me this, the OP-1 by Teenage Engineering, for the third time, I think. Me and her, we have a history of a rocky and somewhat destructive relationship, but I think we finally patched it up, and it's gonna be me and her from now on. Not only, of course, we have the buddies, but I'm not gonna sell this because of some pretty strong points that I'm gonna show you in this video. So the OP-Z is coming up pretty soon, which has an awesome pilot also made from Teenage Engineering, who made this. So I thought I have a thing or two to say about the OP-1, so I might just make my own review of it and speak my piece and let you people know what the fuck is this all about. So, what the fuck is the OP-1? What can I expect this TP to house? Who lives in here? We have no more, no less than 10 different synthesizer engines inside of this small box. In the words of Teenage Engineering, cluster, up to 6 oscillators chained in a cluster. Digital, pure digital raw engine. DNA, don't know anything. Dr. Wave, raw 8-bit style engine. Desynth, dual oscillator synthesizer. FM, frequency modulation made easy. This is the type of engine that found in the classic DX7 synthesizer. Phase distortion type engine. Pulse, square wave engine. String, physical modeling of string instrument. Voltage, multi-oscillator electric synthesis. All of these synthesizers are pretty unconventional. You won't be recognizing if you used another synthesizer and then move on to the OP-1. What the fuck does this function do? You have to experiment, use your ears, watch how the graphics interact with the sound. It's a beautiful thing, really. You just interact with this little fantasy world. But there's more to it, motherfucker. One synth sampler with 6 seconds of sampling time per sound. One drum sampler with 10 seconds of sampling time per sound, in which you can chop the sample across the keys. This is meant for drums, but you can of course sample whatever you want. There's even a fucking drum machine engine called D-Box. Every patch has its own amp envelope. In the synth engines, which is also including the synth sampler, the envelope acts like a regular ADSR envelope. Or do you say envelope? I don't know. And in the drum sampler, the envelope acts more like a transient shaper, for better or worse. Like on Machine, you have the transient master, or in Logic, there's a transient shaper. It's like that. And for drums, this is awesome. But for chopping samples, it's hard to get away from click noises. Now this here, ladies and gentlemen, is one of my few complaints because it makes it quite time consuming to chop up samples. Say for instance, if you're sampling vinyl and you want to chop that shit up into smaller pieces, you're gonna get clicks in the beginning of the sound, and you have to work around this in ways such as using the other synthesizer sampler or chopping it up on the tape or whatever. Or be very meticulous with your start and end points. This is a small complaint, but it'll have to do, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Every patch has one effect slot for one of the 7 effects and one LFO slot with many ways to modulate pretty much any parameter of the specific patch. Let's have a look at the presets thing. The synth engines and the drum sampler have 8 patch slots each, which you can have loaded and at your fingertips at once. You can of course save and load patches at any time as you wish. It's just a nice system to keep the patches organized and at your fingertips. CWO. A cow effect with 4 stomachs to process the sound with pitch shifting, delay, and some sort of frequency modulation. It is fucked up and it is radical. Delay. A pretty straightforward delay that syncs to the BPM. Grid. A 3-dimensional feedback plate. Nitro. Dual resonant turbo filter. Great for many things such as quick high band or a low pass filter. Very useful. Phone. Hacked telephone system. Glitchy telephonical noises. Bunch. Hard-hitting low pass filter. Spring. A mathematic reverb. Spring. Thou must notice if these effects are applied onto the patch while you record it onto tape, you will also record the sound with these effects on them. i.e., they are permanent after you record them to tape. It's not like a plugin that you can bypass or not. It's either on or it's off, and when you record it, it's what you hear, it's what you get. Like a real tape. The master effect slot, however, is independent of this, which we will show quickly later. LFO. There are 7 different LFO engines that can control pretty much anything in the patch. You can only have 1 LFO per patch though. Bend, which is made for rubber band accessory to use it like a pitch bend or whatever you want it to control. Crank, which is for the crank accessory. You can crank it. Element, which you can use different sources such as the built-in tilt sensor, the microphone input level, ADSR, or Greek math to modulate a parameter. Midi, which stands for Morph-Pelargonian Input Design Instigator. Random, which is pretty random. Tremolo, which is very effective to use for tremolo or vibrato effects. And value, where you can simply set a timing to which the parameter is modulated. We have also to our aid 6 different types of sequencers. Strange sequencers and fun sequencers. Including endless, where you punch notes in sequentially like this. Finger, where you can program different patterns on each key like this. And pattern, a 1-bar pattern sequencer. Depending on if you half or double the BPM, you can also consider it way more or way less than 1 bar, where half a bar at double the BPM will give you a higher resolution and 2 bars at half the BPM will give you a lower resolution. Important! Only 1 pattern can be stored at one time, so you have to do your thing. Record it to tape and then move on, erasing the pattern forever. It would be very cool if there could be like 8 patterns stored and saved at once in there to just switch between. But we can't have everything, can we? Hold your horses now, we're not done yet. There is a virtual 4-track tape deck with 6 minutes of tape, each track in mono with levels and pan adjustable in the mixer, a master EQ, another what happened? FX slot on the master, and a drive limiter-ish type thing. With the tape, you can do as you please, for better or worse. Like a real tape, for better or worse. Cut, splice, lift, overdub, loop. Change the speed. And the supernatural feature of copying and pasting tape instantly out of thin air. That is not available in real life, a feature which I am thankful to TE for adding. Should you overdub the tape though, it's overdubbed. You are fucked. You can't undo if you mess up. What you have to do is lift and copy a piece of that tape to another part of the tape and have a backup copy. That way, if you overdub it and you mess up, you can delete that part of the tape and use the part you saved and copy again. There is no undo here. Please make an undo update. Sometimes I cry. When you're ready, you can record your performance as you tweak shit live onto a vinyl record with two sides, A side, B side. Important, the tape is the tape. It's not similar to any other sampler sequencer where you would load up a project, for instance, or a software on the computer where you load up a project. The tape that you have, your 6-minute tape that you have on the OP-1 stays as it is. So you could turn your OP-1 off and turn it back on. It's gonna be the same tape. You can't load and close projects and have several different tapes at the same time. That's why you have to be prepared that when you fill up the tape and you want something else on there, but you still want to keep it, you're gonna have to transfer your files to a computer or similar system of technology. You can plug it in by USB and you will see on your computer 4 different AIF sound files. These will represent each track of the tape to a very convenient way, and you can use those parts to throw it into your favorite music software, or maybe you've done already everything in the OP-1 and you just want to extract it to upload to your favorite music service, for instance. Same goes for the patches that are on the OP-1. They will be able to save on a computer because eventually sometime you're gonna fill up the memory of this, and then you want to store your favorite patches you can easily and conveniently do on your computer system or similar technology. We can use the built-in microphone, the line-in, the FM radio, or the internal audio and record it onto the tape, into one of the samplers, or onto vinyl. There's also metronome and a BPM counter to keep us on time, and we can listen through the built-in speaker. Always handy. What does the OP-1 sound like sonically? For better or worse, the OP-1 doesn't sound like a clean analog synth. What you're gonna get out of it more often than not is gnarly, dirty, digitally sounding sounds, which could be a beautiful thing. Chiptune-ish sounds are the most easy to make, I find, on this. And if you like those sounds, you're gonna love the OP-1. Of course, you can sample a source and get a very clean sound that way, but it doesn't multi-sample, so it's gonna be pretty lo-fi often also. For example, if you would sample an external source, such as a synthesizer, and you will be playing your synthesizer directly onto the tape, it's gonna be a pretty nice sound. But when you sample one tone, since it's not a multi-sample sampler, you're gonna get some nice lo-fi aliasing moving up and down in pitch pretty quickly. And actually another thing I love so much about the OP-1 is that the sound of this and the sampler, the grittiness and the muddiness of the downsampling of the samples, when you pitch them up or down a little bit too much, kind of reminds me of when you sample at a lower rate on the EPS, the Ensoniq EPS. So if you're into lo-fi hip-hop or just making overall lo-fi sounds and shit like that,
you can't go wrong with this here.
It's really a beautiful sound if you like a little bit more dirty sound. Try cranking up the speed of the tape, resample it within the OP-1 and then pitch it back down, for example, to get that nice downsampling of the sound, and you will hear some pretty cool results with it. It works very well many times with drums and also with any sample really. But what I found with this is you can get some really nice sounding raw punchy drums with it, using both the resampling methods and also with the transient envelope that's included with the drum sampler. It's very nice. So what I use this for, I usually use it for beat foundations, sketches, 3 or 4 elements of a beat that I work on further, Or sometimes when I just make really nasty beats, I make the whole thing inside of the OP-1 and I don't even touch it after I'm done with it. Sometimes I might make just the drums on the OP-1 because you can make some really nasty and mean sounding drums with this. Something I haven't heard it get a lot of credit for, but like I said just before, filthiness you can make with this. It is a highly unique machine that I have to recommend so much, both sound-wise and also for the way it makes you fuck around with the sound in unexpected ways and come up with stuff that you wouldn't have thought of in other cases. So you can also make pretty complex pieces with it. I mean, the full beats I make on here, they are not very virtuoso-esque. They are gritty beats, funky shit. But you can make an orchestra piece on it. It is gonna be pretty hard though, unless you are a mini keyboard virtuoso. Both because it is pretty limited with the 2 octaves, and as you're playing and you're taking broad, wide chords and stuff, you're gonna have to do a lot of overdubbing, which is fine. But it takes some work to do that stuff. And the sequencers are quite limited. So it is a pro if you are very good and skilled at playing everything live with your hands from start to finish. I mean, you can make some real Sebastian Bach shit on the OP-1 if you're able to do that. Otherwise, you're gonna have to work like us regular folks making beats with typical skills, whatever skills you have. The more skills you have, it's going to propel you more with the capabilities of the OP-1, naturally, like with any piece of gear. All in all, you have to be creative with its limitations. And I will show you some tips on how to be doing that in further upcoming videos with the tutorials on my little insights on the OP-1. Bed. Toilet. Studio. It's expensive and it's not for perfect, polished sounding audio THX sound. But if you got the money and you want that nasty digital sound and a lot of bang for the buck in your backpack, the OP-1 is for you. It's gonna be for you, and it's gonna be for us together, because we love it. Teenage Engineering, I need more of these. Heart! Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way here, you're a real champ. You are radical. Please subscribe and smash that like! Stay tuned for more expertise tricks on the OP-1 and also the Machine Mark III. We love you guys, bye bye!
Hon får mig hårt som det asfalt. Baby, det är du ingen annan. Hon får mig att vilja stanna. Vill vara din ingen annan. Så får mig hårt som det asfalt. Baby, det är du ingen annan. Hon får mig att vilja stanna. Vill vara din för jag tror jag är galen i dig. Jag blir kucku. Frågan är baby, du galen i mig. Är du kucku? För jag tror att jag är